Gurubhyo Namaha. Good morning, friends. We'll start with a small prayer. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Guru Devo, Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat, Parabrahmam, Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Sri Gurubhyo Namaha, Guruve Sarvalokanam, Vishade, Bauroginam, Nidhe, Sarva Vidyanam, Shri Murte Namaha. வேண்டத்தக்கது அறிவோயினி வேண்டும் முழுவதும் தருவோயினி வேண்டிய என்மால் அறியோயினி வேண்டி என்னை பணிகொண்டாய் வேண்டி நீயாது அல் செய்தாய் யானும் அதுவும் வேண்டுமல்லால் வேண்டும் பரிசொன்று உண்டு எனில் அதுவும் உந்தன் விருப்பமன்றோ ஞானானந்தமயம் தெய்வம் நிர்மல ஸ்படிகாகிருதம் ஆதாரம் சர்வ வித்யானாம் ஸ்ரீ ஹயக்ரீவோபாஸ்மஹே सरस्वती नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणी विद्यारंभं करिष्यामि सिद्धिभवतु मे सदा पद्मपत्र विशालाक्षि पद्मकेसरी वर्धिनी नित्यं पद्मालयाम् आयुल् देहि धनं देहि विद्यां देहि महेश्वरी அல்லல்வோம் அல்வினை போம் அன்னை வயிற்றில் பிறந்த தொல்லை போம் போகா துயரம் போம் நல்ல குணமதிகமாம் அருணை கோபுரத்தில் வீற்றிருக்கும் கணபதியை கைத்தொழுதக்கால் பட்டு வழி போனாலும் கல்லர் பயமானாலும் கெட்டு வழி காலனார் வந்து கிட்டிடினும் நாட்டமுடன் நம்பிக்கை உண்டே விநாயகனார் தும்பிக்கை உண்டே துணை உருவாய் அருவாய் உலகாய் இலதாய் மறுவாய் மலராய் மதியாய் விதியாய் குருவாய் வருவாய் அருள்வாய் குகனே பிரகாசவரலா திவ்ய திருவடிகளே சரணம் வள்ளல் மலரடி வாழ்க வாழ்க எல்லா உயிர்களும் இன்புற்று வாழ்க அருட்பெரும் ஜோதி அருட்பெரும் ஜோதி தனிப்பெரும் கருணை அருட்பெரும் ஜோதி பிரகாசவரலா திவ்ய திருவடிகளே சரணம். Good morning, friends. Continuing our earlier discussions on Indian knowledge systems, I wanted to renew on new topics on this sacred occasion of Makara Sankranti in 2026. So with this introduction, let me share my screen. I hope you are able to see the screen. So in today's session, we'll have focus on the Samkhya Darshana, which is one of the main schools of Indian philosophy, one of the oldest and the main philosophies of Sanātanadharma. So this is a continuation of our earlier sessions where we gave an introductory view. So I'll go through a basic introduction on what we are going to cover in this session on Samkhya Darshana in the next few slides. So before that, I would like to start this session with prayers. So சிவன் அவன் என் சிந்தையில் நின்ற அதனால் அவன் அருளாலே அவன் தாள் வணங்கி சிந்தை மகிழ சிவபுராணம் தன்னை முந்தை வினை முழுதும் ஓய உரைப்பேன் யான். அசதோமா சத்கமய தமசோமா ஜோதிர்கமய மிருத்யோர்மா மிருதங்கமய ஓம் சாந்தி சாந்தி சாந்தி. Just to give a brief recap of what we have been covering so far. First we discussed on a basic introduction to religion, so the religious perspective, cutting across all religious faiths. So this is and then we discussed about the scriptures. So how religions have their own set of scriptures and what are these scriptures and what are the significance of scriptures. So we saw the length and breadth of some of these scriptures. So this is the video that where I discussed all these topics. So this is around a 1 hour video. So the links are given above. So where we will be covering on all the Vedanta uh, and other scriptures, right from what is scriptures to the different perspective of these scriptures. The next topic that we started discussing were deep dive into the philosophical aspects of Sanatanadharma. So we started with a generic introduction to what is philosophy. So then we discussed the various branches of philosophy and its different classifications based on geographical classification and conceptual classifications, etc. So then we moved on to the historiographical timelines of these philosophies, and provided a high level mind map of the various philosophical schools. And then we also touched upon the different alternative ways of classifying philosophies. So this was what we covered as part of the second video sessions. The video link is here. So this is around close to 50 minutes, and it will cover the various aspects of this. The links are provided as part of the description. Moving on, the next set of videos that I shared is a deep dive into the Oriental philosophies, particularly the Indian philosophies. While the earlier session was on philosophy uh, on a generic basis, cutting across both the Oriental and the Occidental philosophies, or rather the Eastern and the Western philosophies, and their classifications. In this video session, the focus is more towards Indian philosophies, how they were classified historically, and mm, brief look into the classification as Vedic philosophies and the Astika darshanas and sixfold Vedic philosophies, etc. We also talked about the agamic philosophies and other kinds of philosophies available as part of the Indian knowledge system. The video for the same is also available. This is around more than 1 hour video, wherein I would have provided different classifications of this video of how Indian philosophy can be categorized and the interrelationship between them. So the link is available. You can take a look. Moving on, now we are coming to the current topic of discussion. So what we discussed earlier is summarized here, wherein we started about a general introduction to philosophy and then moved on to the different branches of Indian philosophy. Within Indian philosophies, we focused on the Vaidika philosophies for now. So we started about how the Indian philosophies are part of the Oriental philosophy, and then we moved specific to Indian philosophy, and then the philosophical traditions of Hinduism. Within that, we started discussing about the Vedic philosophies, and within Vedic philosophies falls the Samkhya darshana, which is one of the most important of the sixfold darshanas and the oldest one. So the current focus of these sessions will be on the Samkhya philosophy. So what I will be covering as part of this Samkhya philosophy, this is a high-level agenda of it, to give you a context of what all we'll be covering. This is going to be a fairly detailed analysis on the Samkhya philosophy from different perspectives. So I will, because there's could be a readability issue, I'm just trying to magnify the. Okay. So first we will discuss about the Guru Parampara of Samkhya Darshana. So how the Guru Parampara was established and what is the lineage there. Okay. Then following that we will talk about the historical significance. So we will take a historiographical chronology of the evolution of Samkhya philosophy as a school of thought, touching upon the different phases of its growth. So right from the pre-classical or the proto-Sankhyan philosophy, then the classical philosophy and the post-classical philosophy, how it has evolved over time. And we'll also be touching upon the different what to say, sub-schools in Sankhya. There is both a theistic, atheistic, and even an agnostic version of Sankhya available. We will be briefly touching upon these differences. Of course, we will deep dive them as we go into subsequent slides. And as a third topic, we will be talking about what are the important treatises, the textual treatises available, or the scriptural richness of the Sankhya philosophy, how over time, right from the Vedic context through the Puranas and the itihasas, like the references in Mahabharata, references in Ramayana, and in the Upanishads, various direct and indirect references of the school itself, and also its Guru Parampara or its rishis, and also the Prasthana text of Sankhya, which includes various specifically Sankhya oriented texts and their rich commentatorial corpus of texts available. And essentially, like in Indian philosophy, the core of a philosophy is always well documented in a rich corpus of treatises. So that forms the foundation for keeping the knowledge as sanatana, that is evergreen. So we will spend some time on the important treatises, and then we'll move towards understanding the actuals of the Samkhya Darshana, starting with its etymological meaning. So there are different ways by which the term Samkhya has been arrived at, and what does it philosophically convey, is what we will discuss. And following which we will discuss about the two main categories of the Samkhya Darshana, which is the ontological categories. So we will be talking about the Purusha Lakshana and the Prakriti Lakshana. So this will be then followed by how these Purusha and Prakriti, the relationship between them, the seamless integration relation with them, which is what makes the existence possible. So that according to Samkhya Darshana is what we will discuss. And then we'll also take a look of this from an epistemological view of how this relationship. First, we will see as a wedlock of how Purusha Prakriti forms the grand couple, and their parentage is what causes the world, as part of 3.7 sessions. And as 3.8, the same relationship, how from an epistemological point of view we can look at it as an observer and the observed relationship, or the seer and seen relationship. Moving on, we will look at the theological context with Sankhya philosophy. See, Sankhya is one philosophy within Sanātanadharma, where, as I said earlier, as three includes within it all the three dimensions of atheism, theism, and even agnosticism. So, as part of 3.9, we will focus on the theological context of it and how the theological context and the atheistic context are indwelling within the same school of philosophy, cutting across different scriptural references. Following that, we will take up the next most important concept within Samkhya ontology is on the trigunatva. So, which is basically how the Purusha and Prakriti is the two main categories. Within the two main categories, how the becoming of the being happens through the trifold gunas or three gunas. So we will start discussing on what is guna in the context of Samkhya versus the term guna in other philosophies or in general common parlance of usage. Okay, and following that, we will we'll move on to the cosmological aspects discussed in Samkhya philosophy. So that again, we will take a three-dimensional look. We'll look at the temporal perspective. Basically, what is time according to Samkhya? There are itself different sub-schools or schools of thought within Samkhya, where sometimes time is considered as equated with Prakriti. Sometimes time is also considered as the first principle, and sometimes the same Samkhya can also be interpreted where time is more of an emergent principle. So we will look at the various aspects of time and compare it with the modern concepts of time and time in various other darshanas. Moving on, we will take a look at the spatial perspective of time, which will talk about the what is space according to time. I mean, according to Samkhya Darshana, and how the concept of space evolves from a mere vacuum principle of our Akasha Tattva to different lokas and bonas and other multiverses or multiworlds, how this is incorporated within the Samkhya school of thought. And as the third dimension, which is a very important dimension, is on looking at the causality perspective. See the causal aspect of cause and effect relationship as far as Samkhya goes. So we will see the different interpretations of this causality, and how Samkhya philosophy subscribes to or one of the earliest proponents of what is called as the Satkaryavada. So we will discuss of what is Satkaryavada and how Satkaryavada is interpreted in Samkhya and the different schools like Vedanta, Siddhanta, as well as in the modern cosmology. Okay, and we will also compare it to the alternate theories like Asatkaryavada, etc. briefly. With respect to Samkhya, just to contrast with the Samkhya. While we will be discussing with the Asatkaryavadas of specific schools as part of when we discuss those darshanas, but for now we will take it at a very high comparative analysis. Moving on, we will be focusing from cosmology. We will move on to the cosmogony aspect of it, and also the theogony, wherever there is a theological interpretation of Samkhya, how theology emerges. I mean, talks about the theogony, or how the manifestation of the phenomenal world happens through divine grace is what theogony is. And so we will take a look at it from different phases, basically classified under the four major phases. And We will then move on to the ontological aspect. From the cosmology and cosmogenical aspect, we will move on to ontological aspects. So we will talk about the different models of ontology available within Samkhya system. So it is the most classical form is its 25 principles model, and but there is also a 24 principles model. Um, Subscribed in within some branches of Samkhya Darshana, and then there are also 26 principle model. So the core ontology branches varies from the minimum of 24 principles and the maximum of 26 principles. So 25 principles is the most default classical way of Samkhya. So I will also discuss what exactly means by classical Samkhya as we proceed. With this ontological model on the Tattva aspect discussed both on the 24, 25 and 26 principle models, we will proceed on another major ontological component which is called as bhava or dispositions. So we will touch upon those concepts, and then we will move on to the epistemological aspects. So within epistemology, we will talk about the different sources of pramanas. So pratiksha pramana, anumana pramana, as well as the shabda pramana as per Samkhya Darshana. Then we will move on to the Moksha Shastra, which will talk about the soteriological and even the eschatological aspects of Samkhya. And finally, we will touch upon critical comparison. So when I say finally, it doesn't mean it is a 17th topic, though I have put it as part of the agenda here. In in, uh, in simple terms, we will be comparing Samkhya across all different schools as part of each of these sessions itself, wherever possible. So this is the overall agenda of this session. I mean, this series of discussions. As this is going to be a fairly comprehensive discussion, and I have split it into probably multiple video sessions. So that is how I am planning to do it, because it becomes difficult to cover it in a single session. So as part of the first session, I am planning to cover these three topics bundled together as one video session, where I'll be talking about the preceptor lineage. Then we'll also be talking about the historiographical chronology of Samkhya Darshana, its evolution across history. And we'll also talk about its textual corpus. So basically, we'll look at it, the different treatises on, talking about Samkhya philosophy. So this will be the first session that I'm planning to cover. Okay. With this, I stop this introductory session, and we'll take up each of these items in the deep dive sessions. Okay, I request you to please go through these sessions and do share your feedback. So any constructive feedback will always have a mutual help. And you can always reach out to me through any of my channels, social network channels, and we can have, if needed, we can also have an individual or private discussions where we can brainstorm on how to improve this program, or any critical suggestions that you want to provide, or any clarifications that you need. We can take it offline as well. Okay, so please do share and subscribe to this sessions. The idea is to spread the knowledge of Indian wisdom, uh, not only to Indians but to a larger audience. So this is my humble attempt towards it. So hope it helps. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Thank you. We'll catch up soon on the next session. सहनावतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै. ओम शांति शांति शांति. It's going to be a joint effort between you and me.